Have you noticed how it seems to be present in almost everyone's life nowadays? Now, what if I told you that much of this suffering is something you create yourself? It may sound strange, but think about it. Anxiety arises when we distance ourselves from the present, living either in the past or worrying about what hasn't even happened yet. Buddhist philosophy, with its ancient wisdom, challenges us to look at this differently. It shows us that anxiety doesn't have to be an inevitable burden, but something that can be transformed. Imagine for a moment that you are trying to cross a bridge. Anxiety is like the fear of falling into the river, even though you're still in the middle of the crossing. For many, this sense of imbalance becomes paralyzing, preventing them from moving forward. Buddhist philosophy, with its profound knowledge, suggests that the solution isn't in running faster or avoiding the bridge, but in changing how we perceive the path. The key is learning to walk with steadiness, without fearing what might happen with the next step. Buddhist teachings show us that anxiety doesn't have to be our enemy. It can be an invitation to self-awareness. By understanding what causes our anxiety, we can, little by little, dismantle the suffering it creates. And it all starts with the realization that this is a problem that can be faced practically, as we'll see in the upcoming teachings. Most people live at the mercy of an uncontrolled flow of thoughts, without realizing that it's possible to learn to observe and eventually manage this process. The knowledge that Buddhism offers is clear. We need to cultivate the skill of returning to the present moment, of observing the mind without being swept away by its wanderings. This can begin with something simple, like stopping for a few minutes each day to notice where your mind is. Are you worried about tomorrow, or reliving yesterday? Buddhist teachings offer us tools to deal with this mental agitation. It's like having a compass in the middle of a storm. By learning to observe the mind, we can prevent it from dragging us into those worries that generate anxiety. And this leads us to the next point, where mindfulness practice can be an effective way to find this mental tranquility. Mindfulness, or full awareness, is one of the central pillars of Buddhist philosophy for those seeking to live with less anxiety. But what does it really mean? Simply put, it's about being fully present in the here and now, conscious of each moment, without letting the mind's distractions take over. When we are trapped in worries about the future or regrets about the past, anxiety sets in. Mindfulness practice teaches us to interrupt this cycle, bringing our attention back to the present, where life truly unfolds. Imagine a common situation: you're having coffee, but your mind is already thinking about the day's tasks, or replaying an unpleasant conversation from yesterday. Instead of enjoying the moment, you get lost in anxious thoughts. Mindfulness invites us to do the opposite, to pay attention to the taste of the coffee, the sensation of holding the cup, the rising aroma. It sounds simple, but this daily practice can completely change how we deal with anxiety. The wisdom behind this Buddhist teaching helps us live more consciously and react less. The beauty of mindfulness is that it can be practiced at any time in life. From trivial tasks like washing the dishes to deeper moments like a walk in nature. All you need is to be fully present. And this presence opens the doors to a calmer mind. In the next moments, we'll see how meditation is one of the most effective practices for achieving this state of serenity. Meditation is one of the most powerful practices in Buddhism when it comes to calming the mind and reducing anxiety. Often, people think that meditating is something complicated, reserved only for monks or those with years of practice. But the truth is, with the right wisdom and a little patience, anyone can start meditating and reap the benefits. The practice consists, essentially, of sitting, breathing consciously, and letting thoughts pass without clinging to them. Does it sound simple? It is. Its depth lies in its simplicity. Imagine your mind as a lake. When anxiety appears, it stirs the waters, making it impossible to see the bottom. Meditation is like allowing those waters to settle. Gradually, the agitation subsides, and what once seemed chaotic begins to clear. And the best part is that this practice can be adapted to your routine. You don't need a special place or hours of free time. Just 5 minutes of focused attention on your breath, in a quiet spot, can bring significant results. There are various meditation techniques, but one of the most accessible is breath-focused meditation. Sit in a comfortable position, close your eyes, and bring your attention to the act of breathing. If your mind gets distracted, which it inevitably will, gently bring the focus back to the breath. This practice, repeated daily, begins to build a calmer, less anxious mind. Along with meditation, another fundamental element of Buddhism is detachment. Detachment is a powerful lesson in Buddhism, especially when we talk about anxiety. Often, what causes anxiety is our obsession with the future, the desire to control what is yet to come. We want everything to go as planned, but the reality is that the future is uncertain. Buddhist wisdom teaches us the art of letting go, accepting that we cannot control everything and that true peace lies in releasing these expectations. It doesn't mean being passive, but understanding that life flows better when we accept what the present offers us. Accepting the present is one of Buddhism's most profound teachings. When we accept the now as it is, without fighting against it, anxiety begins to lose its grip. Think about how much time we spend worrying about what might happen or dwelling on what's already passed. This mental cycle generates anxiety. Detachment frees us from this trap. A practical example would be when we face an unexpected challenge at work or in our personal lives. Instead of sinking into frustration, detachment invites us to accept the situation and act in the best way possible, without anxiety. This teaching isn't limited to life's big issues. It can be practiced in daily situations, like when a plan changes at the last minute or something doesn't go as expected. Letting go of the need for control is a gradual, but liberating process. And conscious breathing is a powerful tool to help us practice this detachment in moments of anxiety. Conscious breathing is one of the most accessible and effective tools that Buddhism offers us to anchor the mind in the present. The wisdom behind this practice is simple. By focusing on our breath, we can interrupt the incessant flow of thoughts that feed anxiety. When the mind begins to wander into worries, the breath serves as a reference point, something that is always within reach. No wonder so many Buddhist masters recommend this technique as one of the first steps to calm the mind. Let's consider a practical example. Imagine you're in a stressful situation, like an important meeting or a tight deadline. The first impulse is to let anxiety take over, with a racing heart and a mind full of negative scenarios. But by pausing for a few seconds, closing your eyes, and focusing on your breath, you can start to calm your body and mind. By inhaling deeply and exhaling slowly, you reconnect with the present moment. This simple act of observing the breath reduces tension and restores a sense of control. This practice is an invitation to bring your attention back to the now whenever you feel anxiety creeping in. Conscious breathing can be done anywhere, at any time. And as we cultivate this skill, it becomes a powerful tool for dissipating anxious thoughts. This is a direct teaching from Buddhist philosophy, which is deeply connected to the concept of impermanence. The concept of impermanence is central to Buddhist philosophy and has a direct impact on how we deal with anxiety. The truth is, nothing in life stays the same forever. Everything is constantly changing, our emotions, situations, even the things we consider most secure. And, often, it is precisely the attachment to the idea that something should be permanent that creates anxiety. Buddhist teaching reminds us that accepting this truth can free us from the fear of the unknown, helping us to flow with changes instead of resisting them. Think about moments of great anxiety, like an important decision or a difficult phase of life. In those moments, the tendency is to believe that the situation will last forever, which increases suffering. However, Buddhist wisdom teaches us that, just like everything else in life, these difficulties are also temporary. Knowing that both good and bad moments will pass brings a deep sense of relief. This allows us to face challenges more calmly, without getting lost in unnecessary worries. Impermanence is not something to fear, but to accept as a natural part of life. By recognizing this, we can live with less anxiety, enjoying the present without clinging to what is beyond our control. This wisdom of accepting change also leads us to another important lesson: simplicity. Simplicity is one of the keys to a life with less anxiety. In the endless pursuit of more things, more achievements, more control, we end up accumulating not only material possessions, but also worries and stress. Buddhist wisdom teaches us that true peace does not come from having everything, but from knowing how to live with less, with what is essential. By letting go of material and emotional complications, we begin to open up space for a more peaceful and meaningful life. Less external noise brings more internal clarity. Have you ever thought about how simplicity can be applied in your daily life? From something as simple as reducing the commitments that take up your time to deciding not to get caught up in others' judgments. Small changes like these can have a profound impact on your mental health. Anxiety often arises from the overload of stimuli around us. By simplifying life, whether by organizing your environment or rethinking your priorities, we begin to create a space for inner peace. Buddhist wisdom points out that the simpler life is, the easier it is to maintain a calm mind. This simplicity is not just about material possessions, but also about how we approach situations and relationships. By stopping to demand perfection from ourselves and others, we release a great burden. It is from this space of detachment and simplicity that transformation begins to happen. True transformation starts with small daily actions. Integrating Buddhist teachings into your routine is a powerful path to reducing anxiety and cultivating a more serene mind. It's not about changing everything at once, but about practicing mindfulness, conscious breathing, and detachment, one step at a time. Dedicating a few minutes of your day to meditation, for example, can already be the beginning of a great change. This daily practice builds a solid foundation of tranquility, which will gradually reflect in all aspects of your life. Imagine starting your day with 5 minutes of mindfulness, just focusing on your breath, and then, throughout the day, applying the concept of impermanence in challenging situations. Small actions, like choosing to live in the present, can reduce stress in surprising ways. By practicing simplicity and detachment, you'll notice that anxiety has less space to grow. These practices are like seeds that, over time, germinate and transform into habits that bring inner peace. Now, the invitation is for you. How about taking the first step? Start today by including these practices in your routine. Meditate in the morning, practice conscious breathing in moments of tension, and allow yourself to live more lightly. Transformation is possible, and relief from anxiety can become a reality. You just need to begin, and you'll see how Buddhist wisdom has the power to change your life. And don't forget, if you enjoyed this content and want to keep learning how to transform your life through Buddhist teachings, subscribe to the channel and activate notifications. This way, you'll stay up to date with new videos that can help even more on this journey of self-awareness and inner peace. We're together in this search for a life with less anxiety and more wisdom.